Hello everyone. It's been a long time since I had a free day off to come to the page to greet everyone and search my memory for a few small stories to tell everyone. There are many stories I've heard, but I only want to tell you the stories that I was there to witness. Directly or indirectly, unbelievable stories. So for those of you who think, if you haven't seen it, it doesn't exist, I won't force you to believe it. If you don't want to see it, you can send me a message to curse me, but don't comment impolitely and affect the community. My job is sensitive and cannot be discussed here. Simply like geologists who go to explore minerals. I have to go often in the forest, deep mountains and valleys, almost all over Southeast Asia. I am curious. Many stories about mysterious things in the spiritual world, especially folk stories called ghosts, demons, charms, witchcraft, etc. Since the 90s, when transportation was still difficult and life was still poor and backward, I groped my way along the north, central and south of Vietnam. At that time, I was curious about places that were said to have many ghosts and demons. I saw many strange things, heard many strange sounds, but I have to say that groping around these places like abandoned hospitals, abandoned houses, abandoned factories, cemeteries, etc., was still better because there was still a trace of humanity. There was electricity, but going into the forest was a different story. In '95, I was in Cambodia near the Laos border. The forest was deep, the scenery was desolate, the people were very poor. One day, through binoculars, we discovered a place hidden in the forest with walls built of dull laterite. Cambodians often built houses with this kind of stone. In this vast area with very few people, the roads were difficult, so why was there some unknown construction? The four of us decided to go and see. It turned out to be just a pile of ruins. It looked like a school, but it wasn't a school, nor was it an office. There was a big house and many houses surrounding a central yard with a flagpole, a kitchen, a dining room, and even a prison. The iron chains and shackles were still intact even though everything was in ruins. It took us a long time to realize that it was a communal house, from the Khmer Rouge era. A communal house, activity house, community house, that was notorious in the past. In the middle of the hot noon, we suddenly felt cold on our backs even though sweat was still pouring down like a shower. Because we all knew this place was the hell on earth of the Red KM. So many people died of hunger, died of disease, died of exhaustion, died of despair, and were beaten to death. The bodies were probably buried roughly somewhere around here. The feeling was hard to describe. If this place was near a residential area, it would be better. Here it was deep in the forest. Everything was almost intact in many places. Some places were burned, destroyed. Kogon grass grew up to the chest. Suddenly the four of us heard the clanging of pots and pans, the clanging of cups and glasses or something, and many voices of people talking. Women calling children loudly. To be honest, there were two quite long houses that had not collapsed. My brothers and I had not gone in yet, so we thought that the people had probably moved in there because the infrastructure here was better than the houses outside. The houses were like cow pens. What was being done inside the house was clearly visible in the yard. But when we walked down the 2 rows of houses, we were all stunned. Touch, not a single person. Only the wind blowing, grass overflowing into the house, tree roots all over the wall, painted Khmer script. Behind is a large yard full of grass up to the knee. Not a single trace of human presence. I don't understand where those sounds came from. Could it be that the 4 brothers were hallucinating? When I turned to look elsewhere, a guy in the group turned pale, couldn't breathe. His body was limp when going to a place with strong negative energy. Weak-minded people often get like that. A few brothers carried him out to give him some wine and let him sit down to rest. Suddenly, I looked towards the flagpole and the houses opposite. At the foot of the flagpole, there was a pedestal with a man dressed in black sitting and leaning on a chair, smoking, and the heads of children and adults peeking out from behind, looking at us. I pulled a guy's hand. This guy is still alive now and is afraid to mention this incident again, and said, "Luan, that's the person over there." He stood up and looked. "Yes, that's right, bro. There's someone sitting over there smoking and holding a bunch of keys. He's from Bac Ninh and often calls keys keys." He and I walked over together. He was behind me. I was in front. As I was walking, I kicked an old wire out of habit. I jumped back and pulled him down because I thought it was a mine. But it wasn't just a bunch of wire. The two brothers came over. Where the wooden chair was still there. The termites had eaten it, and the cashew nut frame was scattered everywhere. No one was there. I ran straight into the house. Only the wall and grass remained. My younger brother ran after me. His legs were tied. His mouth was unable to say a word. "Oh, go home. Damn it." He was teasing me. I turned back and kicked the chair, which had been eaten by termites, so it flew like a branch. I stood near the flagpole and looked around. Suddenly I saw right next to it a mound built like a tomb, also made of laterite. At that time I imagined when I was little, reading a story about this platform. When the flag was saluted in the morning, everyone had to gather here. Anka, the highest leader, stood here to speak. Whoever was guilty was dragged up here and beaten to death as an example. Back to where the brothers were sitting, we stood up and told each other to go home. It was only about 3:30 or 4 o'clock. The sun was like fire. But this place was terribly cold. It felt suffocating. After going out for a few kilometers, I met two soldier friends. Ho, the family, was wearing camouflage clothes, herding buffaloes. Two men stared at us and asked where we were going. Tan, one of the group who could speak Khmer, told us to go in and see. Two local soldiers stuck out their tongues and said that the big man was still there. Very fierce, referring to Anka. There were many evil spirits in there. The Cambodians called them evil spirits. No one dared to go in. The whole area had about 100 people. The forest was poor and exhausted. Palin was a place name that made many old Cambodians shudder because during the Pol Pot era, many people were buried there. Second story. Next to where I lived, there was a small river flowing into the Sepon River. Also in Cambodia, there was a concrete bridge that was destroyed by Khmer soldiers during the Southwest War. That area was quite crowded with houses. In the afternoon, people often went to the river to bathe and get water. My brothers and I often used binoculars to see if there were any pretty girls. One day, my younger brother said, "I saw a very pretty girl who often sat washing clothes on that triangular green stone." Oh, I also looked, but only saw her back 3 or 4 times. I told him, "She sat with her back turned. I couldn't see her face. How could you say she was pretty?" My younger brother said I didn't see her, one cloudy day. The two of us saw this girl go to the river, sitting there like she was doing laundry. A while later she waded down to bathe. Both of us almost dropped our binoculars because we saw her hair. I swear it was more than 20 meters long following the water flow. Her 2 arms were also strangely long, hanging awkwardly like 2 white branches. Bare as bones. I swear that she wasn't human. She curled up in the water like a snake wrapping its prey, rising and falling, then swam very quickly and disappeared over the collapsed bridge. I dropped my binoculars, ran out to the yard, started my Honda and sped up towards the bridge. From where I was on this side of the river, the road was flat, so it took less than 3 minutes to get to the end of the bridge. I stood there looking for a long time. On the other side, people blocked the water to catch fish, so the water was about 1,000 square meters wide. On the shore there were no houses. Only one, the cemetery, ran a long way from the riverbank. From then on, we paid attention but never saw that girl. And when we pieced it together, we saw that she often went alone and almost no one saw her presence. The others went in groups of 4, 5 women washing children and bathing. And that triangular stone no one ever sat washing, even though it looked flat and beautiful. I don't know what my brothers and I saw, but I believe it couldn't be a human. That younger brother remembered this story better than me. The third story. One time in Phnom Penh at night, it was raining and I was so hungry, so I went with my younger brother to eat noodles. I don't remember the street name, but I remember Sakyo or Sakeo Pagoda and Mekong Stats Hotel, which was quite big. We were walking when the rain had just stopped. My younger brother had to go back because he had some work to do, so he would come out later. I went alone. The streets of Cambodia at that time were around 1995 and were still dusty and muddy. There were sidewalks, lampposts, but the planning was very messy. The night restaurant was brightly lit, with many young people, like today's partygoers, sitting and eating, while waiting for them to prepare the food. I sat at the table outside smoking. Suddenly, I saw a soldier walking from somewhere past the restaurant door straight into the lobby of the house next door, which was closed. The house was like a large office with no security lights on. But the surrounding lights were bright enough so I saw the soldier limping. I stood up and followed him over. The lobby of the house was large and had a roof, as if it was for cars to drop off guests at a large hotel. There was a low wall with ornamental plants and 2 stone benches. The light was dim, but I clearly saw 2 Vietnamese soldiers sitting next to each other. One was missing almost half of his body from the shoulder down to the waist. Only his left arm and left leg remained. His right leg was dragging and about to fall off. The other was still intact. After lighting 2 cigarettes, I could no longer see them. I went to where they were sitting, put the 2 cigarettes on the stone bench, stepped back, clasped my hands, and prayed. "Who are you? Where are you in Vietnam?" I was. "If you need any help, let me know. I'm still here. In 5 days I will be back in Vietnam. If you want to come back, follow me. I will take you across the border." Maybe at that time I was dizzy seeing something and thought it was the ghost of 2 soldiers with backpacks and rubber sandals. But the 2 cigarettes were burning red and no smoke was seen. I was not dizzy at all. After eating, I bought 2 more portions of rice vermicelli and put them in a box. My younger brother kept wondering if I bought them for dinner or for someone else. I didn't say anything, took enough chopsticks and went over there to put them on the chair. Lit 2 more cigarettes and then went out. My younger brother said, "Oh, you put them there. The security guards will come out and arrest me." Because 2 security guards came out of nowhere. I said, "I don't care." But the 2 security guards heard me speak Vietnamese, bowed their heads, clasped their hands and nodded as if they understood what I was doing. They didn't make things difficult. Even the waiters at the restaurant I just ate at, they just looked at us curiously and whispered something. I don't know who those 2 guys were, which unit they sacrificed for, how long ago. That is also my concern until now. In a foreign land, they too young, probably like my age at that time. So it was a miracle. 3 days later, I almost died in Bavat. Because I was sleepy, I crashed into the back of Hoang An GL's truck carrying wood, which was not as famous as it is now. My car was completely crushed on the passenger side. Luckily, I was alone, no one was there, and luckily I didn't run straight into the truck. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to sit and tell everyone the story. The story is a bit long-winded. The writing style is awkward, and the semantics are messy. Please forgive me.